Good Shabbos, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. I hope everyone has had another healthy and successful week. This Shabbat is Parshat Ki Tetze. Ki Tetze is a very rich parsha, contains dozens upon dozens of mitzvot, many of which parallel to Parshat Mishpatim. These are interpersonal mitzvot. One of the unusual instructions we're given in this parsha, it's peculiar, especially because of the time of the year that we find ourselves in. The instruction we are given is that the male descendants of Ammon and Moab, the nations of the Ammonites and the nations of the Moabites, their male descendants may never be accepted as Geitrim, as converts into the Jewish family. It's a very strange law. It's made even stranger when you examine the Gemara in Gittin that tells us that the descendants of Haman Harasha, right, the Haman, the Amalekite, right, Amalek, who we are supposed to destroy, who we're supposed to blot out no matter what, Haman, the Amalekite, his descendants end up converting to Judaism. They end up becoming rabbis in none other than Bnei Barak, the most rabbinic neighborhood in the world. We're going to accept the descendants of Haman, but we're not going to accept the descendants of Ammon and Moab. What crime did they do that was so heinous, that was so outrageous, that we never want to ever have anything to do with it? Why do we close the door to Ammon and Moab and leave the door open to even Amalek? You see, when the Jewish people left Egypt, when we went out of slavery into the desert, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God had an expectation of Ammon and Moab that they would greet us with sandwiches and a little water, a little Gatorade, or some refreshments, some tea, some coffee. We were cousins after all. Remember, Ammon and Moab were born of an illicit relationship, but nevertheless, they were born into the legacy of Avraham Avinu. And when family needs family, they're supposed to take care of each other. And so God expects Ammon and Moab to go out of their way, to come out of their homes, to come and greet the Jewish people. Amalek comes out to fight us, to battle us. That is forgivable, God says. What is unforgivable is that Ammon and Moab didn't bring us sandwiches and a drink, didn't bring us supplies that we needed for our journey. What is ultimately unforgivable, according to God, is not caring for each other. It's not going out of our way to make sure that a person has a meal or has all the needs that they require. We're living in a time that is creating such an insular experience for each of us. We're creating pods of people that we affiliate with. And it's necessary from a health perspective. It's completely necessary to maintain that kind of isolation around the group of people you affiliate with. But what are we missing? What are we lacking by limiting our pod, by limiting our social structure? Hashem says, if you don't go out of your way to support another person, your culture becomes so toxic, it becomes so broken, so corrupted, that you're not welcome as part of the Jewish people. The challenge that we have in the weeks ahead, as many people will come back to shul for the first time over Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the challenge that we have is, yes, to maintain, of course, maintain safety, maintain the integrity of the pods that people are setting up to ensure that things continue to improve in terms of the pandemic. But we have to go out of our way even further to connect with other people that we would usually not connect with. We have to travel even further to drop off food or drop off flowers or a bottle of wine just because to someone that you just haven't seen in 6 months because we've had no shul. Someone you would only talk to outside, back in the courtyard, When you saw them around the Kiddush table, but you haven't spoken to them in 6 months because we haven't been here really around the Kiddush table. The opportunity, the challenge, the encouragement, the definition of the Jewish people, of who we are, is that we care for people way beyond our social limitations, our social environment. We care for people because we are a family. And if you're a person who doesn't care for people, if you're Ammon and Moab, then you have no part of the Jewish people. So as we prepare for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and Sukkot, who would have thought in Shavuos we'd be talking about what is going to be Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot still in the context of this? The challenge we have to double down on, we have to commit to, is connecting to people beyond our social circle. Connecting to fellow community members who may feel a little bit more isolated, who may feel a little bit more disconnected because we haven't been able to gather here as a community. I thank you deeply, deeply to the many people in our shul who are already doing this, who are dropping off challahs regularly and making phone calls regularly, who have committed that part of their pandemic routine is to call a couple of people outside their social circle. I can only encourage you and let you know how meaningful it is for people to receive those phone calls. Wishing everyone continued good health, especially as we start school in the coming days. Mirza Hashem, please God, our children will be healthy, they'll thrive, even under these peculiar situations, these difficult circumstances. And Mirza Hashem, yes, we will maintain a safe social circle, but we'll also be able to reach beyond that circle to connect to others in our community and to operate by the values that God has set so dearly to the Jewish family, to the Jewish people, to our shul, to our community. Wishing each of you a Shabbat Shalom, a wonderful Shabbos.